moves. I want to protect as many unborn babies as possible. I also think we have to win the trust back of the American people. And one of the ways to do that is to be the truly pro-family party. I think we are. We've got to carry that message forward and actually enact some public policy to that effect.
Is birth control part of that policy, empowering women to be able to make those decisions before they get pregnant?
Look, obviously people need to be able to make those decisions. I don't think that I know any Republican, at least not a Republican with a brain, that's trying to take those rights away from people. But I think it goes deeper than that.
I mean, I could provide a list for you if you wanted.
Well, okay, not anybody I talk to, Jake. But look, I think the more important question is, I talk to a lot of people, a lot of young families who want to have babies. They can't afford mortgages.
Yeah.
They're terrified about health care expenses. We've got to answer those questions for people. We've got to have a role to play because, look, we have a real problem in this country. Not enough American families that want to have children are able to do it. That's how you destroy a nation.
It's puzzling how so many Republicans suddenly can't find any fellow conservatives that want to take away the right to choose. They've gone from decades of railing on supporters of abortion access, calling children and sexual assault victims murderers and sluts, to now looking for consensus on the issue, now that they're losing elections over it. Not enough Republican leaders apparently let state-level legislators in on the secret that they were just bullshitting about their zero-tolerance stance on abortion, contraception, rape, incest, and life of the mother.
Senator from Anderson he's saying that 16 and 17-year-olds are mature enough to decide to get married, but they're not mature enough to be taught about contraception in school, and they're not mature enough to receive contraception on their parents' health plan, and they're not mature enough to get contraception from the health department, but they are mature enough to get married? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's a fair question, and I'm happy to answer it. I think my position, when this has come up before, is if a 16 or 17-year-old, certainly if they have their parental consent and they wish to get married and their parents approve it, then correct, I don't have a problem with that.
It's rare when elected officials are asked to make sense of their nonsensical stances. In South Carolina State, Senator Richard Cash there must have realized in the middle of his fourth pregnant pause that he never considered that his principles were clouded by his desire to force his beliefs on everyone else. But he wasn't even done making sense of the senseless.
But you just moved to table a bill that required parental consent to get birth control pills on the parent's health plan. Where's the logic?
Well, the logic is I believe sex belongs within marriage because sex leads to children and children needs parents. And so I'm not in favor of the state paying for contraceptives for unmarried children. I don't think that's a good policy. I think children come from sex, and children need a mommy and a daddy, and that means marriage.
So mom and dad can give consent to get you married at 16, but not to put you on birth control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once confronted with his illogical principles, Senator Cash took a minute to consider changing his flawed thought process, but then probably remembered that our government is full of hypocritical politicians and that he's only here to control Americans, not represent them. And since JD Vance doesn't know of any Republicans that want to take all reproductive rights away, he should probably visit New Hampshire and 21 other states, including the 3 that border his state of Ohio, so that he won't have to go very far to find them.
Since Roe versus Wade was overturned, 22 states have banned abortion across the country. And as you've said, 2 years ago, New Hampshire Republicans put an abortion ban in our state budget. And really, for the past 2 years, Republicans in New Hampshire have filed bills to ban abortion at 6 weeks. So this 15-day bill would amount to a complete abortion ban. It would be dangerous, extreme, and out of touch. But we know that granite staters overwhelmingly believe that reproductive health care decisions should be made between patients and their medical providers. So the sponsors clearly do not understand the realities of women's health care.
Republicans are scrambling to recreate history and deny their very vocal crusade to eliminate reproductive rights. But regardless of how many times they say, believe me, and this is what Americans want, the freedom to choose is something that nearly every person has been 1 degree away from if they didn't experience it themselves. And people are still telling their stories.
Because Trump and his cronies were able to destroy Roe, something he loves to brag about, we have no rights to protect ourselves in a situation like this.
I think forcing me to continue the pregnancy and the pain and suffering, put me through the risks of continuing the pregnancy, the risks of childbirth again, especially given how my last two went. I think it's cruel.
We have no right to save ourselves from suffering. Our daughters are growing up in a world where they will be scared to get pregnant. They will fear that people like Ken Paxton will have more of a say in their health care decisions than their doctors. This isn't a fear we have about something that might happen. Let's all freak out about what might happen. No, this is where we are right now. And this Monday morning, I pray for Kate Cox and the many other women who will inevitably be in the same situation.